In progress.
Okay, welcome everyone to our strength and balance class. We'll be working out today out here on the floor and on our room. So equipment for today: dumbbells, yoga mat, a chair, and that should cover most of the equipment that we need. Okay, but if anyone else has any questions before we start, let's start with our warm-up. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. So let's start here. Let's look left to right. Left to right. Up and down. Just make sure we get a nice good stretch. Okay, and then let's do neck circles. And right now we're pretty much in a Romberg stance, so if our feet are right next to each other, we could start on some balance work. Switch directions. And let's go ahead and do a high knee marches. So we're going to drive the knee up. Switch. Alright, so right here we're going to close our eyes. Okay, so just make sure that you're safe. In case you want to like have a chair nearby or hover over. Or just hang out here. Have your eyes closed. Open your eyes. Very good. We're going to go ahead and reach back. And then drive that knee forward. Reach back. Forward. And one more. We're going to switch. Very good. All right, so we're gonna just go back and forth between balance and strength. When we're doing the strength stuff, our legs could recover a little bit from the balance exercises that we're doing, and when we're doing the balance work, our arms or our shoulders, whatever muscle group we're working out, we're gonna go ahead and rest that. Okay. So if you have your dumbbells nearby, go ahead and grab those. Okay, so I have my dumbbells here. And we're going to do a superset. So a superset is when we do two exercises or two different lifting movements, and then we're going to repeat them a second round. So the two exercises we're going to do is going to be a shoulder lateral raise to a front raise. So it's working out the whole socket of our shoulder joint. And then for our legs, what we're going to do is going to be actually a sumo squat. So we're going to go a wide stance. Dumbbells here. We're going to come down and then back up and repeat that motion. Okay, so we're gonna do 8 of the lateral and front raises, and we'll do 12 of the sumo squats, and we'll do 2 rounds. Then we'll move on to a separate balanced exercise. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. So grab your dumbbells. We're here. And let's begin. So we're here. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right? Put those down. Anytime we do some type of lifting movement, I like to recover for about 30 seconds just to relax your heart rate a little bit. We're not really trying to do a cardio workout. We're trying to do strength, so building muscle. And then so by relaxing your heart rate, then you can relax a little bit. You're not going to be as tired for the next exercise, because if you are tired, then the likelihood of you doing the exercise movement incorrectly kind of goes up. So and when that happens, there's a tendency or a higher risk of injury. Okay, so we don't want to get injured, so that's why we're resting a little bit. Okay, so sumo squats now. So again, this one's going to be wide stance. I have my dumbbells down low, and I want to squat down, pause for half a second, and then come back up. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12 of these. 10, 11, and 12. All right. So again, reset, catch your breath, and we're gonna do back to the front raises, and then the sumo squats, and then we'll start with some balance work. So, any questions so far? You can give me a thumbs up if you're doing good. So just stretch a little bit. And then for the folks watching the recording, remember this class is always 11:30 to 12:45. If you can't make it live, the recordings will always be posted later on the day. And enrollment is open for the fall, so I see some of you folks have re-enrolled, which is great. And if you're interested, just let me know if you do need any assistance. But all that information is on the emails from the past. All right, let's grab those dumbbells. Ready, and begin. So here, so 8 of each. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8. Putting those back down. If you have heavier weights for this second set, you could use them for the sumo squats, okay? Just gonna have a little bit of water. Alright, sumo squats. I'm actually gonna go with the heavier weights on these. I have some 5-pound weights and some 7-pound weights, so I'm gonna switch to the 7s now. Alright, so wide stance and begin down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Awesome. Let's put those away. Alright, we're going to move on to our balance work. Okay, so now for this one, we're going to do a tandem stance, which is going to be right foot in front of your left. So you could do that, right foot in front of your left. You're right here. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to look left to right. Okay, so turn left, then right, left, right. Again, if you feel like you're about to fall, then you could always separate your feet. You'll be okay. Up and down now. Alright, this is where we're going to close our eyes, so if you don't feel safe, just open them. Okay, so we're here. With your eyes closed. Try to pay attention to how your feet are feeling, maybe how your ankles are doing. Open your eyes. We're going to elevate that back foot so the left foot comes up. So elevate that. Oh, there goes my leg. And relax. Okay. So work on a little bit of balance before we go back to strength. So what we're going to do here is going to be semicircles. Okay. So we're standing feet right next to each other. We're going to lift our leg forward, left leg forward, and we're going to do a semicircle this way. Bring it back, and then in reverse. And back here. So we're going to do that another 3 times. That's 2. Oh, ankles are feeling funky right now. Right, and then our last full circle. Great. Alright, now right leg. So a total of 4 semicircles, front and back. And here, that's 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3, 4, and 4. Right. Very good. Alright, we're going to do heels to toe rocks. That's going to work on our lower calves, which is going to be anything that's under our knee. So the lower calf's going to be here, and then our anterior tibialis is going to be in the front. So the movement should look something like this. You're on your heels, and you're on your toes. Heels, toes, so just rock back and forth, maybe about 15 to 20 of these. Do 3 more. Very good. All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna go right foot. Okay. So actually, let's break it up. Let's do some strengthening stuff since we already did that. So we did our front side. We did our sumo squats. So we did shoulders already. We did glutes and hamstrings. Okay. So next is gonna be lunges. So it's gonna be a static lunge. So we're gonna get in a lunge position, and we're gonna go up and down. You see how my heels elevated here, and then I'm just on my toes. Okay, if you want to drop your heel, you can. So we'll do those. We're going to do 8 on each leg. Okay, so you hit the quad. And then to work on our biceps, we're going to do bicep curls. Okay, so we'll do bicep curls. And then following, we'll do some triceps. And then we'll do some chest as well. So let's go ahead. You could always have a chair nearby. Let's get in this position on our toes and do 8. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8. Whew. You're gonna feel that on the quads. Alright, so that was right foot forward, left foot back. So now we're switching. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Feeling funky. Alright. So that's going to be for our quads. Okay? Alright, so you might want to grab your dumbbells. We're going to do our bicep curls. Alright, ready? Over here and begin. So 1, 2, 3, go all the way down. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you feel good, go for 12, 11, and 12. Alright, so this is where we rest for a minute to kind of regroup. So, any questions so far? Alright, you could grab some water right now, so give yourself a little break, 1 minute break. Alright, back to our lunges. Okay. So again, if you need some support, what you could do is have a chair nearby. You could always hover your legs over it or here, and then again, 1. We're doing 8. 2. You're gonna work on your balance, then you could just kind of hover your hand over that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so then we're relaxing, and then we're switching. So left foot forward, right leg back. We're here, and again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oof. Those are tough. Get your legs to burn. Alright, so about 20 seconds recovery, and we're going to do our bicep curls again. And then we'll transition to some balance work. Okay? Stretch out the feet. Alright, grab your dumbbells. Remember, 12 of these. Ready, and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Stop this fan. Right there. Oh, that's a little too high. I have this funky fan. There. No. Right there. Needed the fan to hug me. Alright. Back to our balance. Okay. So we've had our left foot in front of our right. Now it's going to be our right foot in front of our left. No, we did this one here. So left foot front, right leg back. Okay. So again, just stand here. If you've had any ankle injuries or issues, sometimes this one can be a little bit challenging just standing here. Okay, we're going to look left to right. When you're ready, go ahead and begin. Now up and down. Okay, close your eyes. Remember, if you don't feel safe, open them and separate your feet. Open your eyes and relax, okay? All right, so we're gonna work on our arches a little bit and our lower feet. So what I want you to do is find a space around your area, and we're gonna do some toe walks and some heel walks, okay? So for the toe walks, we're just gonna walk on our toes. Toes are pointing straight, so just get off your heels. So go ahead and do that. We're gonna do that for about 20 seconds, and then we're gonna switch. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and do your toes in, okay? So right now we're walking straight, so now our toes are gonna be pointing in. So we're gonna be a little bit more pigeon-toed, okay? So that's gonna work out a different area of our arches. Okay, now toes out. So now your toes are pointing out. So we're getting all three angles. Alright, and then the next one's on your heels, so make sure that your floor is comfortable. So I'm gonna do mine on my yoga mat, so I'm just on my heels. Okay? Just on my heels. My toes are up. Very good. Okay. Alright, so that's working out the lower legs. Now we want something for our upper body, okay? So what I'm gonna ask you to do is to find a chair to support yourself, okay? What we're gonna do is gonna be a bent over row, and then we're gonna do a tricep kickback. So working out our back and our triceps. So our back, and our triceps are behind our arms, okay, the back side of our arms. Alright, so I'm gonna support myself with my hand here, keeping my back straight. And I'm just gonna bring that dumbbell up and down. Up, down. So we're gonna do 10 on each arm. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, I'm going to straighten out. I'm going to switch sides. So now my left hand is supporting and my right arm is keeping me upright. And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. I'm going to drop that, come back up, make sure my back is nice and stretched out. Alright, and then for the triceps, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do a tricep extension. And I'll show you how to do this one. So this one, the main thing, you want to grab your dumbbell, is that you don't want to drop your dumbbell on your back, okay? On your back or on your neck. So make sure that you secure the dumbbell nice and clearly. So I kind of wrap my thumb and my pointing finger around it, the ring with both hands. Come here, and then I extend up. You see I'm holding the dumbbell and down. Try to keep your elbows in. I'm going to do 12 to 15 of these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then relax a little bit. Grab some water if you need it. Okay. Whew. Are you folks warm at home right now? It's hot in this garage. So, alright, I'm gonna get ready for the second set. So again, the second set is the same back exercise that we were doing right here. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead, position yourself, make sure your back is nice and straight, and begin lifting that dumbbell up to your side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Straighten out. You don't want to do the switch at the bottom position. Sometimes just put yourself in a position to hurt yourself. And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Straighten out. Very good. We're going to do our last set of our tricep extensions, and then we're going to move on and do some balance work from our chair. Okay? Alright, so back to our tricep extensions. Remember these, we are back here, and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, going for 15, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 115. Very good. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and move that chair or that dumbbell a little bit away from me. Got a splinter. A bunch of little pieces of wood stuck in my hand. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is first we're gonna stretch the legs. So we're gonna recline back. So sitting towards the front of the chair, I'm gonna recline back, bring the leg close to your chest. Just do some leg extensions here. Get the hamstrings ready. Alright, we're gonna switch. Leg up and begin. Alright. Alright. Next we're gonna start with our chair squats. Okay? So remember, for the chair squats, we don't want to use the assistance of our hands, we just want to use our feet. Okay? So these, no hands here, and you're just gonna stand up and then sit back down. That's one. We're gonna do 10. Okay? And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, take a little breather. Grab some water. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit so you can see my foot position. So the next ones are going to be single legs. So these are going to be a little bit staggered. So these are the 3 options you have. So I prefer the first 2, but these are 3 options. So first option is move your heel where your other foot is. So your right heel goes right next to your left toe. Okay? Next position would be out straight. Okay? So your leg is completely straight and you're on your heel. And then the more advanced position would be if your leg is completely up as you're pushing up. Okay, so that one's a bit more challenging. So I wouldn't try that one if you haven't mastered the other 2 yet. Okay. All right, I'm probably gonna go with the straight leg right now. So if you're ready, we're gonna do 10 of those. So when your leg is straight, your body's not using this leg to get up. It's mainly using this leg. So that's why it's a single leg squat, chair squat. All right, ready? Here, and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We reset. Okay, so catch your breath. Was that tough? For you folks that are online, was that challenging? Alright, so we're gonna position our feet here. Okay, now left leg is extended. Okay, so either here or fully extended. Alright, ready? And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Sit back. All right, and take a little breather while we're here. Okay, so we're just gonna do heel raises. This is very light on your calves, a little bit of work on your arches, but you should be able to catch your breath from these. Try and get in front of the fan. Sweating over here. Right now, toes up. Okay, so if you see my feet, you see how my heels are flat, but I'm raising my toes up. Alright, next is I'm going to do my alphabets, ABCs with the ankles. So right ankle first, you want to elevate that and just trace the letters of the alphabet. So B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, all the way to Z. O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Okay. Switch legs. So this is just good mobility. This is stuff that you could do, you know, if you're waiting for an appointment, if you're in the car as a passenger. I don't want you to do this as you're driving. But if you're a passenger, this is one that you could do. Just kind of keep your ankles nice and healthy. Q, R, S, and Z. Okay. And then lastly that we're going to do here on the chair before we transition is going to be our claws. Okay, so we're pulling with our toes towards our heels. We're clawing at the floor. Okay. Just keep on clawing. We're going to get back on our feet and do some balance work. And then we'll finish off the remainder of the class on the floor. Okay? Alright, very good. Grab some water. You don't need a chair right now to grab some water. Take a little breather. Alright. Okay, so next exercise is going to be our round the clock single leg squats. Okay, so imagine you're in the center of a clock. You have 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then back to 12. So you want to tap every hour on the clock, and we're going to do this by slightly bending at this knee, extending, and then so we're going 12 and 1 and then around. Okay, so let's begin. So extend that leg forward. So 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one's tough. 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. Next is going to be in reverse. So now it's left leg. Okay. So left leg and counter. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, it's getting tougher, 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, that's working on your balance there. Just relax your feet a little bit. We're gonna do hip openers. This is good for your hips as well as your balance. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 on each side. Okay, so for these, we're standing here. We're working on the right leg first. Okay, so this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna drive your knee up and to the side, down, up, back inside, and down. That's 1, and repeat. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, gonna switch. Oof, that was a little too quick. That one got me. So that's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, very good. All right, we're gonna do a couple, one more standing, and then we'll transition to the floor. Okay, so this is gonna call the curtsy lunge. So you're here, and you're gonna step back and behind, across, come down, reset. Okay, you're gonna feel that on your lateral glutes. Okay, ready? And begin. So 1, we're gonna do 8 on each side. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, and 8, and 8. Very good. All right, let's take 2 minutes. If you need to use the restroom, now's a good time for that. Grab some water, but 2-minute break, and we will regroup right now, okay? 2 minutes. We are back. I'm gonna move this fan to the floor because now we're gonna be on the floor, okay? So if you're on the floor, I'm ready to go. Let's give this green light, okay? So for balance, First, let's get on the floor here. And we're gonna do a couple stretches, okay? So we're here and we're gonna do cat-cow. So you are down, your wrists under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. You're gonna arch up. Exhale your breath, arch down. Inhale, arch up. Repeat, down, up, down, up, down. Keep on going. And one more. Okay. Very good. Alright, so just get off your hands because we're going to get in that position again. So this next one is called the bird dog. But it's going to be a bird dog with the hand to knee touch. Okay, so the regular bird dog, you would be here, extend your arm, right arm and left leg, and come back, and you would switch to your left arm to your right leg. But this time, what I want you to do is extend right arm, left leg, and then tap your hand to your knee and go back. So hand to knee, go back, hand to knee, and go back. Okay? You guys think you could do that? We're gonna do 6 of those, okay? So your head should be down. Ready? So extend and contact. Extend, contact, extend, contact, extend, contact. 2 more. Extend, contact. Last one. Extend and contact. Good. Whew. Get off your hands because that shoulder will start burning pretty soon. Okay? Alright. Other side. So left hand and right leg. Ready? And begin. Extend, contact, extend, contact, extend, contact, extend, contact, extend, contact. 2 more. Extend, contact. Last one. Extend and contact. Very good. Awesome. Alright, let's go ahead and get on our side. Alright, so we're here on our side. We're here and we're going to do Jane Fonda's or hip abductions, okay? So for this one, what I want you to do is just lift your leg up and down, but try to control it on the way down so it's not coming down too fast. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So up, and then down slowly. And then stop right there, and then up, down, up, down, up, down. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Right? You're gonna switch sides. So you could just roll over or turn like I am. And begin. So up, down, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. Alright, we're going to leave our legs to rest a little bit. So while we do that, we're going to do knee assisted push-ups. Okay, so knee assisted push-ups, we're going to be on our knees. We're coming up forward, supporting our chest, our upper body with our hands, and we're going to bring our chest down and then up. Okay, so you're still on your knees. All right, So for these, be careful. If you feel like you're not ready for them, you may want to skip these. But if you're able to do them, give me anywhere between 5 to 12. But the window would be 8 to 12, okay? So, all right, let's get in position and begin. So, down, up, down, up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Oof. Chest is burning a little bit. Okay. Gonna get back on our back. Here we're gonna do a variation of exercises from this position. Okay, so I'll give you some time, but eventually we want to get to this position. So this would be the sit-up position. Okay, so first we'll go with some sit-ups. So we're gonna place our hands, sliding sit-ups. We're gonna place our hands on our lap, and we want to slide our hands to our knees, and then we come back. Okay. All right. Here we go. So hands on your lap. 3, 2, 1, and go. So slide up, down. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, very good. Alright, our next one is gonna be our heel drops. So heel drops, hands are to our side, we lift our legs, and you're gonna drop one heel down and come back, and then the other leg. Okay, so we're doing a total of 8 on each leg. Alright, so if you're ready, let's go ahead, hands to your side, and begin. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, we're doing 8, 8, and 8. And relax and drop your legs down. You can relax them. We're gonna do one more set of the sliding sit-ups, and then we're gonna do something else for our legs, okay? But just rest your legs, because keeping them upright and stretching them back and forth, that could really fatigue them. Okay. Alright, so sit-ups. Let's go ahead and get in this position. Hands on your lap. We're doing 10 again, so you're gonna slide your hands up your thighs towards your knees. Ready, and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. Right, rest your legs. We're going to continue from a similar position right now, but we're going to work out our hamstrings and our glutes, okay? Right, so bend the knees, arms to your side. We're going to bring the glutes up, squeeze the glutes, and then back down. Okay, ready? and begin. So up, squeeze, and down. Up, squeeze, down. Up, squeeze, down. Make sure you're squeezing. Up, squeeze, down. Up, squeeze, down. That's 5. Again, up, squeeze, down. 6. Up, squeeze, down. 7. Up, squeeze, down. That's 8. Up, squeeze, down. That's 9. And up, squeeze, down. That's 10. So again, relax your legs. Those are gonna fatigue. Okay. All right. We're gonna continue here. This next one's called a clamshell. Okay, so clamshells, we're here on our side. We're gonna tuck in our knees a little bit, so you see how my knees are bent. My ankles are gonna be together, my hips are over my hips, and my knees are making contact. So I'm just gonna separate my knees here and then close them. Okay, so I'm gonna do 10 of these. Right, and then once we're done with the 10, we're gonna switch sides and do the other side. Ready and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Right, we're going to switch sides. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good? Are we tired? Second. And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright. Very good. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of a stretch before we continue. So your top leg, we're laying out straight here. Your top leg, swing it forward. Once you can't go anymore, drop your foot. You get a nice stretch in your hamstring here. Swing it back, switch sides, so you can rotate. We're on our side, and again that top leg, swing it forward and drop that foot. And come back. Alright, just a couple more movements and we'll start cooling down, be on our way. Okay? Alright, so we're going to be back on our floors. This is called a donkey kick. So we're here, and I'm going to ask you to, with your left leg, you're going to bring it up towards the ceiling. So you're going to do this, and then back down, and then repeat. Okay, we're doing 12 on each side. So let's do the left side first. So you're looking down and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now the other side. Get in position. Ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just relax a little bit, stretch. Oof. Let's see. Pretty warm day. Alright, and then the last movement that we're gonna do here is gonna be a fire hydrant. So we are on our fours, and we're gonna lift up and then down, up and down. Okay, so we're gonna do that for 8 on each leg. Ready? Again, so looking down, lift that leg up and down. Again. 2. Again. 3. Again. 4. Again. 5. Again. 6. Again. 7. And one more. 8. Good. Now the other side, right side. Ready? And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to stretch out our back a little bit, so we're almost done. We'll start cooling down now, so just lay on your chest, reach with your hands in front of you, with your feet behind you. Just try to relax. Let's place your elbows to your side so get a light stretch on your back. A light stretch.